back with another episode of the We'll Just Agree
to Disagree
podcast. I am Ryan Lee.
And I'm Beyonce Fox.
And Beyonce, we're not here by ourselves.
No, we
today.
are not.
Who do we have
are
here?
not. Oh my gosh, an award-winning gospel artist
Check.
who is just doing everything.
Wow.
So happy for your new album, Hairston.
I'm honored to be here. Y'all
Thank you
cool
for being
already.
here.
Hold on. Stop the
Fit
podcast.
check.
Gucci sneaks.
Whatever.
The
whatever.
Gucci sneaks are giving me life right now.
What?
I got some good Vans on. They're on sale.
And the Gucci glasses, Ryan.
Caught it.
No, all of this
Caught
stuff was purchased by Trina Hairston. I
Sir.
would never.
Oh,
buy
the
it.
wife?
Yes.
Shout out to the
course.
wife.
Hi, Mrs. Of course. But you look great.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you can proceed.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here on this podcast.
Thank you.
Y'all cool already. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. Good to have you.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about this new album of yours.
Yes.
Yeah, Dream Again Volume 2.
Believe again.
Believe Again, I'm sorry. Believe Again
Yeah.
Volume 2.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So, y'all know how this works. I'm older school. Beyonce, you just made me feel real old.
Sorry.
We've been releasing music for a minute. So when we first started recording, you could record as much music as you want.
Yeah.
That was a good thing. Make a double CD, yo.
Yeah.
Now it's like if you put anything out more than 6 songs, it's like, what are you doing?
Facts.
So we recorded like 20 songs, and we decided we'll split it in half. So Volume 1 we released at the end of September. Volume 2 we just released at the end of March, and like we're just so excited about it. A lot of our supporters are saying they love it, and that's unique in this day because usually people are like, yeah, it's cool, but no, they love it this time.
That was I was asking him yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, man, they just did Volume 1. How you do Volume 2 so quick?
Yeah.
So now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Let me say this, and I have to say this before we go forward, and I told Beyonce this yesterday. I listen to a lot of albums, and there's a lot of albums that I cannot fully listen through.
Wow.
There's a lot of albums that I can take songs from, 1 and 2, cool. I had to commend you because Beyonce and I both grew up in the church singing.
Good.
And from a long time, I can always say a J.J. Harrison album, I'm
Wow.
going to listen
Yes, sir.
from top to bottom.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this one, though, Believe Again. It's a simple title, but yeah, it has so much meaning in that title.
Yeah.
Explain that title and why Believe Again.
Yeah, so we were talking before we got started about the pandemic and how during the pandemic it was like a real health crisis. That's of course, but also out in that season we had to deal with a lot of stuff. So coming out of it, I feel like we're now in a faith crisis. There are a lot of people who don't believe anymore. I know people who were going to church, serving in the church, that do not go anymore. And not only do they not go to the building, they don't believe in what we're doing. So what we're trying to do now is sing songs, say words, inspire people to believe again. And that's what we're trying to do through the lyrics, and not only through the lyrics, through some of the messages we're teaching at church. And I'm hoping that something we say will make a difference.
What do you think that is? I mean, is it because we just become complacent and we're going to kind of blame that thing on the pandemic? Because I've noticed too, my congregation is much smaller.
Yeah.
People come when they feel like it. It's just not the same. What would you attribute that to? To the pandemic?
I think during the pandemic, a lot of leaders had to say, you don't have to be in the building to
Yeah.
feel God.
Yeah.
And then now that the pandemic's
Why am I
over,
coming back now?
like what am I coming back for? You
Yep.
told me I don't gotta be there.
Yeah.
So and then outside of that, there are a lot of people who suffered some real loss in the pandemic, and we're still dealing with that. Like you figure, I mean, I remember one time, especially for us church kids, like we were seeing an obituary every day for people who were pastors, elders, leaders, choir directors. So to now come back and act like everything's normal, it's hard to do that. So it's affected our faith. But hopefully we'll start to learn that even in that season, it was for a reason. It wasn't just for nothing. And what can we learn from that? Because if we don't learn from it, we'll experience it again.
No, I can contest that because during COVID, watching it online, I would watch it, eat, talk on the phone, text, come back like, oh, service about to be over. And I had to force myself to go back into the building because when you're going through it, you need to feel the presence, you need to be able to spirit,
Yes.
to be with fellowship
Right.
at church. So I can definitely understand that. I want to talk about your longevity though. You have been around, man, the albums
A long
after this.
time.
A long time. Think of after this.
We had a conversation before the podcast. I was telling him I started radio on a gospel station
2000. I
in
was
2000.
playing your 10th record.
JJ Hairston and Youthful Praise.
But that's a testament to your career.
Yeah,
Think about that
that's a
longevity that
Wow.
in 2023 you are still putting out albums that I'm rocking to on repeat.
Wow.
Yes.
You know what I really think it is? I remember back in the day they would say keep your ear to the ground. And like what did that mean? Like stay relevant. Like listen for what's happening in the day. And we're doing that spiritually as well, right? We're trying to listen for what people need for that season. You know what I'm saying? One thing I've heard somebody said that was really impactful for me said, one problem with the church is that we're answering questions that nobody's asking. And I think we do that musically too, right? We're putting out music that nobody's asking for. So what I've been intentional about doing is finding out where people need help and hope and releasing music that speaks to that. So like during, like one time we had a really heavy recession and I released a song called Resting on His Promise. In 2016 when we were really like, you know, people were trying to figure out like the difference between traditional music and praise and worship, and we released a song that said you deserve it, because regardless of what your tradition is and your background is, just worship him because he deserves it, not because it's your style. And I think as long as we continue to stay relevant by listening to what people need, we'll be able to release music that people will listen to.
I like that.
What's your favorite song on the album?
Wow. On this record there's a song called Close to You. I wrote it in 2008. I sound so old.
No, you
No,
don't.
you're good. Because you look the same.
Right, exactly
You look the same. From Youthful Praise.
Exactly the same.
I released it in 2008 and we redid it because so many people sang that in their personal worship time, even me. So I re-released it with a young lady named Mignon Sarton on it, and she just brought a whole different element to it, so it made it my favorite again.
Nice.
I have to touch on one of the things that I do with my sister-in-law. Shout out to Natalie. We send different gospel songs. Like if we hear a song, we're like, that's it. We'll send it to one another and let it minister to us. And when I heard this album, before we even knew you were coming here, and I listened to it, It Will Always Be You.
Wow. So many people like this song.
I listened to it, and I immediately sent it to Natalie. I said, listen to this one. And she's just been like, wow, it's been on repeat. That song, for those who have not listened to it, you're talking about where you're even in the valley, and you're still holding on to you. And you're grateful for that. And I think for me, it touched home too. I've been very transparent on this podcast, the season that I've been through, and trusting him and relying on his faith. And I think you reminded me that even in that dark season, he's still the hand that we're holding on to. And we're just so grateful for that. So when I keep repeating it at the end, I'm literally like, Lord, I'm just grateful. Even in the lowest season, you're still there. Please talk about that song for me.
So that song was written by a good friend of mine in Dallas, Texas. His name is Nick Traylor. He actually is Chandler Moore's road manager.
Oh, okay.
So it's crazy because he's like the guy behind the guy, right?
Yeah.
He said, Jay, if you give me a chance, I'll write a song for you. I'm like, cool, let's what you got? And he sent me this song, and it just reminded me of how we're in a season where people want to feel like somebody's faithful to them. Like loyalty has become a thing in 23. And what we know is God is loyal to us. Like he's with us in every season. He doesn't bounce when things are going bad and come around when things are good. So give me praise for it.
Right.
So that's why it says no one has held my hand in the valley like you have. Like, because the mountaintop moments are easy,
amazing.
But the valley moments, who's there?
Yeah.
And he's always been there.
That song written.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So you and your wife have this great ministry in DC on the East Coast, and you guys are constantly on the go, constantly moving, constantly ministering to others. How do you work balance life where you're always giving of your time and your personal life? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, what does a person like you who's in leadership, who has to constantly counsel and help and whatever, what fills your cup, if you will?
See, I love this question. You know why? Because you did this, right? Balance. And we are very careful not to use the word balance, because that means you have to give equal weight to both sides. And if the moment I start to give the church or my music the same weight that I give my family, I fail my family. So what I'm intentional about is working on prioritization. I prioritize what's first. my family, first of all, my relationship with God is first. Because it's very possible to work for God but not talk to God.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very possible, like, y'all know, y'all can come in here every day and never
through
talk to the
emotion.
boss.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
never have a conversation with the boss, but do all the work that for the boss that you're supposed to do. So I'm very intentional about making sure my connection and my relationship with God is intact. And then with my family, like, I prioritize what we do. I prioritize our time. And then everything else comes after that. And I've learned that because I do it that way, all I need is always done. Like the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, all these things will be added to you. So because I'm seeking him first and I'm putting him first, everything else I need happens. Now let me tell you, I'm working hard this week. Next week, me and my wife are going to Cancun.
Yes.
We do this. Yesterday, well, a couple weeks ago, we had a big conference. She was overseeing it. So I told her, because you did that, every day, every week, we're gonna do something just for you. Yesterday, we went to New York to see Michael Jackson play on Broadway.
Good?
It's incredible.
So good.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So we do that just to make sure that we're prioritizing our time and each other.
I like that.
Good stuff.
You have worked with a lot of artists. Who is somebody that you would want to collab with?
Somebody I would want to collab with? Okay, this is gonna sound. I'm gonna give you the churchy response, which we need, and then the secular response. Which
I love it.
I
love that. I love that.
Yeah, right there with you. Let's go.
So church-wise, as cool as we are, I have never worked with Israel Houghton professionally. We've never written a song, recorded a song.
Wow.
So I think
we need that.
Yeah, and he's inspired me so much. So that would be really cool. Now, my favorite singer in the world is Jasmine Sullivan.
Oh, wow.
Literally, nobody in the world can sing like Jasmine Sullivan. If I could get her to do a riff on a song,
man,
I could really retire at that moment.
That's dope.
I love that.
Dope. Which leads me into this question. Great segue. What are your thoughts on the whole evolution of gospel music and secular? Have you ever wanted to dip into secular for any moment? You got Quavo from the Migos thinking about doing a gospel album. You have Whitney Houston, who posthumously released her I Go to the Rock recently. Latasha Scott from Escape, she's got a new inspo gospel album out. I can go on and on. Tyrese using Leandria Johnson and his new single that we play on B103 every day. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think gospel should stay with gospel, secular should do their thing, or could there possibly be a successful marriage?
I think they can definitely be a successful marriage, but I think it has to be authentic.
Yep.
I think when it's not authentic, we can tell, we can feel it.
Yeah.
When R. Kelly released that record,
Prayer Changes.
Yes, it felt right. You know, even though you can say whatever you want to say about the man.
Yeah.
That felt right.
Yeah.
And I think there are so many cases where we have judgments about the person, but what they release felt authentic. I'm not supporting anybody. What I'm saying is, whatever you release, it needs to feel real. And I can say for me, if I release the R&B record, it won't feel real. Because that's not who I am. You're going to be able to tell, like, oh, Jay, you didn't try too hard. But there are some who are releasing gospel now.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, it don't feel real to me.
Okay.
That's facts.
And I'm not judging them. It just don't feel real. It feels like, okay, this didn't work, so I'm going to try this. And I would never want to release something as a second best. If it's going to come from me, it needs to come from my heart and not from my head.
We're talking about the sound. One of the things that I love about this new album is that I feel like it's a mixture of traditional and then also that new contemporary sound. When I listen to Psalms 100, I get that choir. But when I listen to It Will Always Be You, like, I get that more traditional sound. Talk about that, because you did post on Instagram one time that I really like, is that we can talk about the two different sounds, but it's really about the posture of your heart.
That's right.
Explain that to me.
So in gospel music, I don't know if y'all know this, we are really going through this thing where people feel like, well, I don't want to hear praise and worship. I don't want to hear traditional.
We talked about that before.
Turn the lights on in the sanctuary.
It's too dark.
It's too dark. Why are we doing all this? Why are we trying to be like the world? Why are we trying to be like CCM? At the end of the day, none of that matters if your heart posture is not right. And I personally think that it's all worship. Worship is not the style; it's what you're saying. And if you're talking to the Father in a state of adoration, it can be rap, it can be traditional, it can be CCM. It does not matter. I think we've gotten to the place where we think in order for it to be worship, it has to be acoustic guitar. In order for it to be gospel, it has to be heavy organ. No, it's all good news. And your heart posture behind it is what's most important. And I think as long as we get to that place, we'll stop segregating music based on the style that we like the most.
I like that.
What's your next step? I know you're going to continue to do music, right? And you're going to continue to minister to the world, but what else is next for J.J. Hairston?
Wow. So I'm really trying to push my wife. She is powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, like when I in the last 3 years, I've seen her go from the person who will be in the background, like, hey, you should do this, you should do that, to now her preaching and singing and teaching. And she had her first conference a couple of weeks ago. I think I alluded to that, and it was powerful. But she's always been more comfortable in the back.
Yeah.
So the next place for me is letting the world see her.
Okay.
And if that happens, like we're gonna go on tour together later this year. And I told her, I said, I want you to go and do what you do. I'll set up music around it. You just figure out what that needs to look like for you. So we've already planned some cities. I'm gonna record the praise team. She's gonna teach a little, and then we're gonna do music. And I'm excited about her being able to experience what she pushed me to do in all these years.
That's gonna be powerful.
Full circle, got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Before we get out of here, we gotta talk about the Stellars.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those nominations.
Oh.
You know, no big deal. Male Artist of the Year, you know, no big deal.
It's another award.
It's another award.
Yeah.
Listen, you know why it's troublesome for me? And I shouldn't say troublesome. It's like really humbling. I'll put it that way. I was never looking to be seen as an individual.
Wow.
When Youth for Praise started in 2000, it was all like there was no J.J. Hairston in Youth for Praise. It was Youth for Praise.
Right.
And now, like, for people to see me as an individual, it's like, am I? You know, you go through this stuff of these thoughts of, am I good enough? Look who's in the category with me.
Yep.
They deserve it more than I do. But then I finally had to accept the fact that God gave me something that's unique. And it doesn't matter whether no one's judging whether it's better or worse than anyone else. It's necessary.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn that what I do is necessary just as much as everybody else that's in that category is necessary. So for me, whether I win or not is irrelevant. The fact that people notice that what I do matters is really humbling, and I'm really grateful for that.
That's great. Well, continued blessings and all that you do, your wife, your family, your ministry all over the world. We are so very grateful for artists like you. You're humble.
Yeah,
Thank you for that as well. And you're truly anointed by God. So, like I said, I've been playing you for 27
Why you
years.
keep doing that?
Oh,
Now, why you keep doing that? Now, we trying to have him back.
22 years.
Hey, you gotta know the past, you know, to know how far you've come.
Yeah.
And you've done good, J.J. Hairston.
Thank
you for joining us. We appreciate it. You got to stop and see us next time you're back in
definitely-
Shot City.
definitely
And if we
will.
go east to D.C., we're going to come
Let's
and check you out
go.
for sure.
Come on.
And you
come
know,
on.
me and Beyonce
Absolutely.
sing.
Oh,
Well, on
So,
some days.
we can come to All Nations DC.
let's go.
And we're going to leave.
Let's go.
Not only will we be there, we're going to leave.
We can play a track.
First of all, they're gonna get tripped up like, yo, we got Beyonce coming to
Right,
sing.
right.
Beyonce
You gotta
Fox?
make sure.
What?
No, you got to make sure you
Right.
say Beyonce Fox from
Right,
Chicago.
right.
Because I don't want the church being packed.
Let's
okay?
go.
No, man,
All
we
right.
appreciate you so much
Thank
for
you,
being
man.
here. Congrats
Thank
on the
you.
new album. If you guys have not gotten it, get it
Yes,
now.
sir.
This is a new episode of the podcast. We'll just agree to disagree. Make sure you subscribe. Beyonce, where can they follow you?
Beyonce Fox everywhere. J.J. Hairston, Believe again, Volume 2. Go get it.
Right
Get
now.
it. Get it.
Stream it and download it.
Yes, we out.
Thank you.